we have the privilege of experiencing that learning through a specially curated educational workshop convened by none other than Mrs. Sudha Rajesh. Sudha ma'am prefers to be called as a storyteller, and storytelling is truly a gregarious art because it brings people together. She is known for her insightful perspective, calm leadership, and exceptional ability to simplify complex concepts, helping all of us grow more confident and more gregarious communicators. I was Sudha once had a habit of drinking water just before meals, but after her husband advised against it, she stopped bringing a water bottle to the table, resisted the urge to drink, and gradually overcome the habit. Ma'am, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, fellow hivers. How are you all doing?
Very good.
Very good, ma'am.
That's all. If you're doing very good, then why is the voice and audio so low energy? Huh? Saturday சாப்பிட்டுட்டு மத்தியானம் தூக்கம் வருதா? Everybody's feeling sleepy, is it, huh? So which means I'm going to keep you all awake by asking you questions at the end of the session. Let me see how many of you are awake. All right. First question. How many of you can see my screen?
You have to put it in presentation mode. Yeah. Slideshow.
Shall I? Is it better now?
Yeah, it's very visible.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So basically, a most important role in Hive platform is the role of a reviewer. Why is it a very important role? Because this person can actually make or break the confidence of the speaker. That is why it's a very critical role. And this is something that we will be asked to give feedback. Well, it is not as tricky as giving a feedback to your wife about the dish that she cooked this afternoon. There you might have to use all your trick and presence of mind, impromptu speaking skills and everything. But here we have a simple format and structure and everything. So it is fairly easy to give feedback. But that is something that you will also do at your place of work, right? You might be asked to give a feedback sometimes spontaneously. Sometimes you'll be lucky enough that you'll be sent an email saying, we are going to have a meeting to discuss about how this project went by. Come back with your opinions and everything. So you've had some time to prepare. So how do you use that time to prepare is what we practice here. So when the agenda is prepared itself, when I have volunteered to become a reviewer itself, my job as a reviewer's preparation must have begun. What should I do to keep that? Most important is I should stay away from negative, harsh, and criticizing biased words. So these cannot be used under any circumstances. Rather, we use encouraging and supporting words. These are some suggestions that I have. These are some things that I would recommend. I would suggest you would do. You should only look at that from that particular project point of view and give feedback. So when we are reviewing a project, if I am reviewing, for example, Idant is doing project number 3 today. So I'm going to conduct this session with respect to that project. So when Idant is doing project 3, as a reviewer, let me just browse through the manual and see what the previous reviewers gave him feedback. Is it possible? Is it possible for me to talk to Idant before the meeting? So all this happens before 3 p.m. What is it that Idant wants to work on? Idant says, I'm very good in communication, but when it comes to doing with body language, I become tongue-tied. I have a challenge. So focus on my body language and tell me after the meeting is over, how was I able to do that? So what is that one particular thing that Idant or the speaker is trying to overcome? As a reviewer, I must be able to have access to previous reviews, the previous projects reviewers gave. For example, he is very good at organizing the speech, but he is not very good at reiterating the message, or his opening is fantastic, but his closing is rather weak. So when I do that, I'm keeping all that in mind, which means if I'm in class 5, I should have passed class 2, 3, 4, and then come to class 5, right? It does not mean that I was given an option to join class 5 suddenly, and then I landed here somehow right? So, which means whatever concepts I learned in class 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I will apply in class 5. It's not that suddenly I forgot all that and I'll have to start all over again. We are building block by block. We are building one project at a time. So first one, I just got rid of my fear. Second one, I learned how to organize. And here I am in the third project where I am using my gestures and how am I going to present it in a more presentable manner. So before you take up this role, you talk to your mentor. Talk to your mentor and say, I am going to review this project. Most important thing you should remember is if I have completed project number 3, only then I can sign up for a reviewer's role. Now I've completed project 3. Can I review project 4 or project 5? No. I don't know what happened in 11th and 12th standard. I'm still in 5th standard now, right? But I can guide people who are in 1st standard and 2nd standard, right? So I can review projects 1, 2, and 3. So before that, I talk to my mentor. If Saro is my mentor, I'll call him up and say, Saro, I'm going to review project 3 today. Idant is doing project 3. I'm going to review that today. But I have this problem. These are some challenges that I have. What are the challenges that you would like to overcome, right? So you as a reviewer also must read the manual, the speech mastery manual. What is it? Even though you have completed that project, read that once again. What are the objectives? Acquaint yourself with the objectives and be clear about it. What I suggest you normally do is if you notice in online meetings or in the offline ones, if Saro is a reviewer, you'll see that he will look at the screen occasionally, but you'll see that he's very busily jotting down notes. As a reviewer, we have to take as much notes as possible. I recommend you divide your book or page into two half vertically. On the left hand side, you can say commend. On the right hand side, you can say recommend, which means all that were good about Idant's speech, I'm going to make a note of it on the left side. All that Idant can improve, I'll make a note of it on the right hand side. Focus on the nuances. How was the speech structured, organized? How was the opening, body, and conclusion? How were the transitions? And then how did he do this particular project? So when you do all that, you take down as much notes as possible. Then after your job is over taking down notes, usually the way the meeting is structured is first the hype talks is over, then the next segment is jam talk session. During that segment, what you can do is you can organize your notes. What are the things that I should open? There were 3 or 4 good points about his speech. Which one should I open with? Which one will have a very fantastic impact? Now, remember, when you are organizing and structuring your speech, you're focusing a little bit on yourself. The balance has to be there. When I am going on stage and reviewing Idan's speech, the focus light is on me. I am the speaker. So I want to gain some brownie points. I want to win that best peer reviewer award, or I want to become a better peer reviewer. So what I will do is my focus will be on me. How did I open? Wow, today's speech, Dant, it was like Martin Luther King coming on stage live today, blah, 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 right? But remember, the balance is you are playing a secondary role. The speaker's role is what is important. You are reviewing the speaker. Unless it is a contest for reviews, on that day, the limelight is on you, and definitely how you present it is going to be more important than the speaker. But in a general regular meetings, the focus or the limelight is always on the speaker. Make sure every word you utter is going to help Idant become better, not to actually steal limelight from the audience. Now, most importantly, we see the topic. When we see the agenda, Idant's topic will have a certain agenda. How many of you know what is Idant's agenda today? I will ask this question to Hema, Melita, or Bhavana. You guys are going to be the reviewer. What is Idant's speech topic today? I told you I'll keep you awake, right? Which one of you is going to answer? Come on, takkunu yaradu poi agenda parunga.
It focuses on body language.
His topic is focus on body language. So what can you tell from that? That is where your first job as a reviewer starts. How is the connection between the topic and the speech? Is the topic revealing too much, or is the topic intriguing? It is actually gaining people's curiosity, right? Is it making them wonder, what is Siddhant going to talk about? Oh, he's going to talk about his body language. He has revealed it already. So that could probably be one of your recommendations or commendation, however you would like to look at it. So now that you have taken down all the notes, this particular speaker has spoken for about 3 to 5 minutes. You have taken everything. Now you grab them. There are certain easier ways. My mentor uses multicolored pens to organize his notes. He either underlines them. If you look at his notes, he used to have these 5 colored pens. Do you still carry it, Soro? I don't see you carrying it these days. Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, he used to have that. He used to have 5 color pen. He used to underline some in yellow, some in green, some in red. Okay, so the yellows are kind of, he's good, but he needs practice there. The greens are the ones he's probably really good. He's acing it. The red ones are something that he needs to improve upon. So whichever works for you, you could have highlighters, you could have a star marked next to that point or whatever works for you, right? So make a mark of that and then start practicing. So if you are doing it for the first time, if it's an online meeting, we are going to be on mute. You could probably turn off your video and practice your review and then turn on your video and deliver your review. If it's an offline meeting, if it is the first time or second time and it is very disturbing for you, the jam session is disturbing, you could probably walk out of the meeting room, go out and collect your thoughts. Keep your notes. Always, unlike a speaker, you can look at your notes and talk, because we don't want to goof up. We don't want to say something that might really harm or hurt the speaker's confidence. All right. So we have something like, what do I want to open my review with? Let us not go with a cliche, what an awesome speech it was, what a blah, 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 blah. No. So your preparation for review has started much before you entered the meeting itself. Now you know what project he's delivering. You know what is the speech title of his project. You know, this is the kind of speaker he is if you are familiar with the speaker. So some sort of, but don't go with kind of a biased opinion. This particular project, objectively, you're going to review. But your homework has started. I can start coming up with a quote relevant to that speech title. I can start coming up with a short anecdote or a story, or better yet, take the anecdote from the speaker's speech itself. Take how relevant it is, and you can continue from there. So start from where the speaker left it off and take it over from there. So how do you start your speech? Then move on, transition to body, and then you move on to what are the recommendations. But please do not ever stop with recommendations. Always end on a positive note. Tell the speaker as well as the people, this was good. These are the place where you can improve. And here is one last thing which I really admire in your speech. So end always on a positive note. So commend, recommend, commend. Sort your notes in this order. Why do I say that? Because it is not just the speaker who is observing you. There are other guests as well as members who are waiting to give their first speech or second speech. Or probably I've already given my second speech. Next week, I'm planning to give my third speech. So I'm carefully observing what are the feedback this particular third project is being given, right? So what happens is we are also keeping an eye on the reviewer. So you can divide your review in this manner. You have about 1 to 2.5 minutes. The first 1 minute you can take organizing the opening and body, that is commendations. The next 1 minute you can focus on recommendations. So the moment the timer is showing you green card, move on from commending to recommending. The moment timer shows you the yellow card, move back to the last point of commending and start wrapping your review, right? So that way you will not go out of time. That is a very nice way to ensure you are on track with the time. All right. You can keep your notes, but when you are on stage or when you are delivering, you're looking at the audience and talking at the screen and talking. You cannot go back and forth. If you start reading out your notes, that's not going to be impression. impressionable. What can you do? That is where these highlighters come in handy. So you can highlight only those things that you want to really talk, and you can keep. So here is my observation. Generally, when I am reviewing a speaker, I have about 10 to 15 points I have noted down. But 2.5 minutes is not enough. Usually, I'm a person who likes to go out of syllabus. That is why I note down 10 to 15 points. But that is not recommended to give all the 15 points on stage for the 2.5 minutes. Give 5 points, two good points, two areas of improvement, and one area. Again, conclude with one good point to conclude. So I noted down 15, but I gave only 5 points away. So it is the responsibility of the speaker to approach the reviewer after the meeting is over. If Saro was my reviewer, let me talk to Saro after the meeting is over. Saro, are there more things that you noted down? Would you like to share them with me? Fix up a time with them which is mutually convenient, because the onus is on me as a speaker to improve myself. It is not the responsibility of the reviewer to help you. All right. So note down everything. If possible, ask the reviewer to take a photo of that notes and send it over to you so that you can use, the speaker can use it when he or she is preparing for the next project. Okay. So these are some notes I prepared. I will be sharing these with you. All this will be given to you. Don't bother taking down notes. I'm a very verbose person. I tried to make it short. My mentor scolded me. Sudha, this is not how you make presentations. I said, thank you for the scolding, but this is what I am. Okay. All right. So this is something that is very, very important, because it is somewhat spontaneous. Even though you took all the notes, you prepared everything, the more you practice giving feedback, the more you will also learn the art of including impromptu things from that moment, jams, topic, or some other hilarious event that might have happened. These things are for later on. Don't try to do that in your first or second reviews itself. In the first or second reviews, try to be genuine, try to be truthful and honest to that particular speakers, that particular project. There may be some great reviewers you might admire, you might want to become like them, you might want to talk like them. Why don't I try to implement that? If you tried and it flopped, it's still okay. We are a very supportive community. We won't really make a big issue out of it, but then that particular speaker should not be impacted because of that. So that is the only thing that you have to keep always in your mind as a reviewer. It's a huge responsibility that's put on your shoulder, that you can, as I said at the beginning of this education session, you are either making or breaking the confidence of a speaker. So be very cautious. All right. Ineffective reviews. What are all the ineffective reviews? They have only good things. Well, my first review, I still remember very clearly. They had only all the nice things I admired about that speaker. What are the points where you can improve? I don't see any improvements. All right, back to you, MC. This is how I did my first review. I very well remember that. All right. It happens. All right. But as a good reviewer, this is where our observation skills are brought into force. What were things that were good? What were things that were not so good? They may be sometimes obvious, sometimes they may not be very obvious. For example, I'm just giving my first speech, or I'm giving my second speech. Second speech is organizing. In organizing, I know the objectives. It must have a good opening, it must have transitions, it must have a good body, then it must transition to a conclusion. Does it have a message or one takeaways to one single point or not? Fine. But project number 3, the moment I go to project number 3, if I have put it all haywire, if I have not organized it, I have to notice that and bring it out as a reviewer. All the objectives of project 3 were met, but what happened to objectives of project 2? I don't see that this project was properly organized. It could have been organized better, right? So one thing is, a most important thing that I would like to mention here is, when you give recommendations, do not stop with what was not so right. Also, you give examples of how to do it better, right? So your speeches did not have transitions. That is the what. How to have transitions. Having talked about this, or having completed point 1, let me move on to point 2. So these are some ways to give transitions. This way, the audience is prepared that you're done with this topic and now you're moving on to point number 2. Or you're done talking about the first story, now you're going to start your second story. Having told you about that, my upbringing and my childhood, now let me move on to my college years or my early career life, right? So which means I'm done with my childhood. I'm now going to talk about my career. So this transition is actually holding the hands of your audience and taking them along. So don't, as a reviewer, don't stop with what can improve, also show them how to improve. This is where you add value. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I cannot see the timer. Poor guy, he's doing his job really well, I guess. So I'm allotted time till 3:40. Intentionally, I'm closing at 3:30 because I want to leave 10 minutes time for your questions. Let's open the floor. Whatever questions you may have about reviewing, please. If you don't start, my mentor will start with first question. Unmute, unmute.
I'm very tempted.
I know. I'm expecting questions from Hema, Melita, and Bhavna because they are the reviewers today. Okay, boss, you start.
So can I review a
I
speech?
have a question, 1 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, so we tend to give the constructive feedback. But what happens is the speaker tends to think, oh, I have done a great job. But we make that in a sense that they should not be offended, they should be encouraged. But how, even in that sense, how to make them feel that, yeah, you have to improve a lot.
So after giving my speech, my ego is fully boosted like a big balloon. I've delivered a fantastic project and I commence it. The reviewer's job is not to take a pin and poke that balloon. All right, not to hurt their ego. That is why empathy is the word that the reviewer must remember. So you know by their the way they have approached itself, you know that they are on cloud 9 having delivered the speech. So what you do is, having delivered the speech, I thought this was a great speech. Any great speech can become an outstanding speech. An okay speech can become a good speech. A good speech can become a great speech. A great speech can become an outstanding speech. An outstanding speech is something that remains in our memory far after the meeting has come to a conclusion. That is an outstanding speech. So your speech was good speech. Can we do something to take it from good to outstanding? So when you say that, the speaker's ego is massaged. Okay, all right. So which means the reviewer also admits that I've done a good job. So you start from there. Never start on a wrong foot. All right. Have I answered your question?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, Vijay. You go ahead next.
Hi, ma'am. So suppose, though we have completed 5 projects, if we are about to review someone who is the first or second project, and we are not able to understand what they are speaking, and it's too fluent or the out of the context, in the sense if we don't understand how to tackle that situation.
Sometimes it may sound all Roman and German to you. All right. So I totally understand. That is why we gave the manual objectives. Look only for the objectives of that project. For example, today's speaker is supposed to have certain body languages. You focus on their body languages. How was the body language too disturbing? For example, today I'm going to talk about 5 things, and here blah blah blah, and too much of body language. Was it excessive, or was it just enough? Focus on the circle, which is the circle that I know. I'm very much aware. I completed this project. I know what were the shortcomings in my project. My mentor or my reviewer said these were some things that were not included in that project, were missing. Let me start looking at it from that point of view. Was that there in this speaker's presentation? Right? This project is about vocal variety. How did the speaker use it to the best possible extent? Was he screaming throughout the speech, or his audio, his voice was varied according to the project? When he was delivering the most important message, did he or she pause intentionally reduce and lower their volume, and deliver the most important message. So think about only the objectives of that project, focus only on the objectives, and then you'll be able to do it. And I'm not saying this is going to be easy. As I said, my very first review, I flopped. I brought out only the good things about the speakers. So in that case, again, after the review session, if I am the speaker and you are the reviewer, I felt that you did not add much value. If Saro was there in that meeting and my mentor, my responsibility as a speaker is, Saru, you might have noticed some things. Can you tell me what are the things that I can improve upon? So always, always, always the onus is on the speaker to improve. We are only providing the environment, but it has to be self-driven. Have I answered your question, Vijay?
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, Asra.
Hey, hi, Sudha. Like you covered most of the points, like we used to jot down the notes and we are roughly rumbling in our mind how we can begin and how we can convey. So the time is also 2 minutes. So how to begin with a calm mind and have a smooth transition, considering there will be three speakers, sometimes two speakers will have the same objective, and our speaker may not done well, other would have done good, even better, but we have to ensure that we are pinpointing or bringing out the correct points. So I'm having a tough time to
Okay, there are three
coherently
things.
assemble everything.
Yeah, there are three things that I will address from your question. Let's say today, apart from Idant, there were two other speakers. Out of that, one of them was also a level project 3 speaker. Okay. And I am reviewing Idant's speech. I'm not reviewing the other person's project 3. It is not my responsibility, or I should not worry about, let's say Saro is going to review that project level 1 project 3. I should not worry about how Saro is going to do that review. If I keep Saro in my mind, I will be overwhelmed. I will lose my own points. I should focus only on my notes. Okay, so there what I should do is focus only on Idan's speech, not on other speech. What you can do is you can lower the volume and you need not focus on those two other speeches. Then start focusing on taking down your notes and organizing your notes. That way, one point I've answered. The second point is your review starts even before you set foot inside the meeting, before 3 o'clock itself. This is how I'm going to open my review. I know that I'm going to review Idant. He is doing project 3 today. These are the things. So what you can do is have your pen and paper ready. These are all the objectives I'm going to see. Does he have these kind of body language? How was his speech organized? All those things, let me write down in bullet points and keep it and put a check mark or an X mark if he has, or if he does not include that. So that way, I've already started organizing my notes even before the meeting started. There, I circle only the important points that I'm going to focus on and I'm going to deliver that. So this will come with practice. Initially, the first few reviews will be a little bit tricky. You may say things that you didn't want to say, or you might wanted to include something, and you such an important point I actually wanted to say, but it got left out. All this will happen over a period of time. You will gain a grip over it. Have I answered all three questions of yours?
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Melita, please go
But
ahead.
rule of thumb is never make a speaker feel bad.
Always, always.
So your learning journey cannot be an excuse for making a speaker feel bad.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, sure.
So Sudha, my question was like, usually had in my mind that there should be more comments than recommendations. But what if I'm put in a situation where there are more recommendations than comments that I've noted down? And how do I get it well to the speaker in such a scenario?
So the most important thing is, out of good interest, out of the good intent to help the speaker become a better speaker, you really want to help them do that one-on-one off stage. These are all some recommendations that I have noted or observed. See, more than the performer, the observer will see a lot of things from a different perspective. I prepared for this speech from one perspective, but as an observer, 3 or 4 of you noticed so many things which I probably did not keep in mind in the first place while preparing. You're all helping me become better version of myself. So what you do when the recommendations outnumber the commendations, it is best to be done one on one. In spite of that, confine your review to three recommendations, sorry, three commendations and two recommendations. So you start with two commendation, two recommendation, and conclude with one more commendation. Always the recommendations should not outnumber the commendations when you're doing in a public platform. Once you are done with the meeting one on one, it is always better. I suggest all you people who are giving speeches, try to fix up a spot. Can I talk to you? You are my reviewer. Can I talk to you after the 4 o'clock meeting is over? Can I talk to you at 4:10, 4:15? The sooner the better, because the notes are fresh, the memory is fresh. The reviewer can share everything. Can I talk to you? So the speaker should check with the reviewer. Hey, Sudha, can I talk to you after the 4 o'clock meeting is over? Just for 10 minutes. I want to know whatever you noted down, which you could not share during the meeting. Just take a photo of it and send it off to the speaker. And that way, both the speaker is also has done a good job and the reviewer also has gained the confidence of other members. Next time, I want Melita to be my reviewer. I'll go and talk to the L&D manager and say, can you arrange Melita to be my reviewer? She's doing a very good job as an observer. Asra has very good eye for detail. Can you make sure she is my reviewer? Right? So that way, you will also help build this person's block as a speaker. Yeah. Any more questions? Or else my boss will have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I have a question, Sudha.
Yes, Ingeta, go ahead.
Yeah. So my queries are regarding to two. First, in case if the delivery is good, but then the language, the usage of language is not proper. They are struggling to form sentences. Okay, fillers are understandable, but then the language frequency of the language or the tone is not better. In that case, how do we review them? This is first question.
Shall I answer that?
Yes, please.
So most important thing that we must remember is English is not our first language.
Hmm.
All of us have some other language, either Tamil, Telugu, whatever, right? Marathi, Kannada. Many of us are coming to this platform because we are not confidently able to speak in English. When we focus on the English, that is the wordsmith's job, to focus on what were really good in that speech and what were not so correct or incorrect usages. Sometimes wordsmith also may be overwhelmed. He or she may be not too fast enough to make a note of it. Again, as I told Melita, if the language was the part, none of the projects that we have an objective to focus on the language, right? So as a reviewer, give that feedback one on one. I understand that you're struggling to speak in a grammatically correct way in English. How can we help, or what can we do? Can you start reading storybooks? Can you start reading simpler books meant for
Okay.
3 to 4 year old children? Those
Okay.
start from there, right? So
Okay.
again, you're helping that person build their confidence. So
Okay.
never focus on language, and in your review mentioned that you had a lot of grammatical mistakes or your language is incorrect.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
And
So,
second one,
yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. My second question is, so we have different projects, and I remember in the earlier one of your session, you mentioned that we need not comment on the content of the speech. We can like give them suggestions on their delivery of speech, but not on the content of the speech. But then somewhere I also found like we can add humor instead of going on a standard that we can add, or should we restrict that? Will it go personal, like, so
so
just
okay, on the content, there are two things. One is, to some people, humor comes very naturally. I am the other kind. Humor does not come naturally to me, right?
okay.
So if you say, Sudha, your speech was very serious, a little dull, you should include humor, then you're asking me to change my nature. It does not come naturally to me. Is that a part of the objective? No. So
Mm.
whenever you have doubt, treat the objectives given in the manual as the Bible.
Okay.
Don't stray away from the project objectives. So these project objectives were put there in the place because those are the things that we have to focus for that particular project alone. Never stray away from that. Content wise, unless it is very, very hurting, like it's a very controversial topic or a very disturbing thing, that is when, in very, very assertive at the same time, in a subtle and soft way, we can say, abstain from these kind of things. We are in a group. This could probably make some people uncomfortable, right?
Okay.
If I talk about something very controversial, religious, political, caste, such kind of things, it is making people squirm in seats. That is not healthy environment. So as a reviewer, there you have to point out, saying, abstain from doing that.
Nice. Yeah.
Otherwise, include this or you must become a humorous speaker. I'm sorry, I'm not Shraddha Kapoor or Shraddha Sharma, right? I am not Shraddha Sharma. I cannot talk like her.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Sudha. Sorry for taking extra 2 minutes. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right. Back to you, MC. If there are any more questions, please try to focus on the meeting. And when there are some transitions, post the question in the chat.